Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
And just like a dog is not just for Christmas, a campervan is not just for the summer months.
And this is just a quick guide on how we get our campervan ready for winter camping. As you can see from the weather today, winter is definitely upon us now. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't get out and about in your van. We love winter camping.
We've had our campervan for over 6 years now, and we have done over 600 nights and over 100,000 miles. And a large proportion of that has been camping in the winter, because winter camping is very, very different to summer camping, but it's no less rewarding.
No, we love getting out and about, particularly probably more locally to the Lake Districts and away for weekends. We get out all the time, winter camping.
And on the extreme, we've also taken the van out to the Alps and we've skied out of the van. So we're not suggesting doing that, but what we are also not suggesting is mothball your van and forget about it till the spring, because you can still get a lot of use out of it.
I suppose one of the main ways that we winterised our van went right back to when we had it built 6 years ago, and we had a Propex gas heater installed. It runs off our LPG tank. It is amazing. We only actually have it on for maybe 10-15 minutes at a time because it heats the van so quickly. It has a vent that just comes through here, and it's very efficient to run. It doesn't use a huge amount of gas. So yeah, we can camp all winter. We've been out in the Alps and we just use the Propex heater to get the van toasty warm. You don't need to have a van heater installed. If we were on campsites and we had electric hookup, you could just have some sort of electric fan running so that you can still get out all winter in your van.
Another feature of the van build that's not actually that interesting but is really essential for winter camping is insulation. So we had the van fully insulated and it's worked really, really well for the 6 years, and it's certainly not something to scrimp on. One of the other things that we had installed were the van shades window blinds that are thermal blinds, so they offer a really good seal and they keep the van cosy on a night and completely black it out. The big area where camper vans tend to lose heat, particularly in the winter, is the cab area and the front windscreen and the side windows. We always use a thermal outdoor blind because it gives us better insulation properties in the winter and it's really good in the snow. However, if it starts blowing a hoolie, it can get blown around. So we do have a backup in terms of internal blinds that we use when it's storming, but we don't like to use that because they're nowhere near as thermally efficient. But no matter how good your insulation is on your van, inevitably in winter there is going to be a problem of condensation, and we have not found a solution to that. So all we have to do is in the morning, inevitably when we've been sleeping in the van and blowing out all of that hot air, we just need to wipe the inside of the windscreens down.
When we had the van built 6 years ago, we also had an underslung water container put in. Fab, because it saves on space within the van, so we've got lots of cupboard space in the van. We use it all winter, particularly if we go away for weekends, but if there is any doubt that it's going to go below 0 degrees, we do tend to empty it and go to using gallon drums of water from the supermarket, mainly because we don't want the tank underneath or the grey tank to freeze up and then expand and crack. So yeah, if it gets really cold, we don't use it.
One of my little obsessions about the van, and it has been from day one, and it's particularly pertinent in winter, is battery levels. I'm absolutely obsessed by it because if you go camping and you're off grid and your battery levels drop, then you can be in all sorts of bother. Now, one of the things I would say is that in cold weather, it really does test out batteries. So if your batteries are starting to creak, then now is the time to change them. All I do is I just keep an eye on the battery monitor system, keep an eye when we're driving that it's charging, check what solar we can get. Obviously today we ain't going to be getting any solar, but it's just one to keep an eye on because the lower the temperatures go, the more susceptible to damaged batteries are.
Obviously, winter camping is very different at night time. We do take lots of blankets in the van with us, so if we're just sitting around, we can just cover ourselves with a blanket. We, in the summer, have a very lightweight duvet or just a sheet if we're abroad in Europe and it's really hot. In the winter, we swap it over to a 15-tog duvet. We have a really nice soft brushed cotton duvet cover that keeps us nice and warm. We have a fleecy blanket that we roll up, and we have a thick duvet mattress topper, which actually also keeps the heat in, so we are toasty warm at night. We haven't actually had to resort to sleeping in our merinos, but we do also take lots of extra winter thermals just in case it gets really cold, particularly when we were camping last year in the Alps. But we didn't need to use them. The van was toasty warm. I know some people travel with hot water bottles that help keep them warm. I know when we were in America, my mum swore by hers and used it every night, but we were warm enough. I think we're just quite hot-blooded, to be fair.
In such a small camper van, space is obviously an issue, and for all of mine and Jackie's clothes, we've just got this one cupboard, so we do have to be quite selective. It's not a problem in the summer. In the winter, you just need to think a little bit about your layering systems. I absolutely love, and most people will probably realise from the videos, that I love my merino wear. I wear merino t-shirts, long sleeve tops, and also in the winter I've got a quite natty pair of long johns. They're a really good start to your layering system. You then have a mid layer, which is designed to just keep you warm. So we have a range of different mid layers, ranging from cheap fleeces to man-made insulated jackets, then to down jackets. The only issue with down jackets is that if you get them wet, then they're absolutely useless. So sometimes it's better to go with the man-made fibres. And then one of the things that Jackie and myself did when we early retired was we bought ourselves a full set of Gore-Tex waterproofs. It doesn't have to be Gore-Tex, but for years we'd made do with a variety of different waterproofs that we'd always bought in the sales. So we just treated ourselves to a full waterproof kit, and it has lasted us, and we love it, and it just means that we can go out in all weathers.
Using the van in winter for cooking is very different. In the summer, we have lots of salads, we have lots of barbecues, and we tend to use the outdoors. But obviously you can't in the winter. It does come with an issue. Whenever we cook, particularly things like pasta, we do get a lot of condensation. So we've had to do things like making sure that we keep the sun visors down because we've got black mold that started growing underneath there. So we are mindful of a few little things like that. But yeah, we turn to proper good old winter stodge. We cook lots of stews, we cook lots of pasta dishes, and we try to make it a bit of a nighttime thing actually, because it's long nights from 4 in the afternoon until 8 the next morning when it's dark and cold. So we have a production of cooking and maybe sometimes having a glass of wine and make it last the evening. In the winter, I also pack a cheeky little comfort box. It's got hot chocolates in it, it's got bachelor's super noodles in it, lots of comfort foods that I can cook if I'm coming from the cold, wet hiking day and have a nice thing to warm us up. On the condensation front, we do think we found a solution. I've seen on Amazon some little packs that are supposed to be moisture absorbers, and I'm hoping when we cook we can have one of those just in the van. Rather than steaming up the van, it'll go into there.
Just because it's winter doesn't mean to say that you need to stop doing the stuff that you do in the summer. So in the boot we have our trusty fire pit. Granted, we don't sit out as much as we would like to in winter, but it's always nice to get a fire on the go, particularly if you get the camp chairs out and blankies on, and you can toast marshmallows and do all of that lovely stuff. Probably at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when it goes dark. But yeah, we love our fire pit. We take our axe with us, and we also take a supply of firewood with us because you can never tell whether you can get hold of it or not on campsites.
Dark nights do make winter camping very different because obviously the blinds are down after 4 o'clock. So we do tend to take lots of different candles and fairy lights and LED lights just to make the van a little bit more cosy. We take board games so that we can sit and play them and keep us busy in the evenings. And in the summer, we don't watch any TV at all, but we do take our laptops with us so that we can occasionally, if we've got Wi-Fi, watch a box set or just listen to some country music. One of the things we're not very good with in the winter is traipsing mud in and out of the van. And Richard's dad had a really good think about this a few years ago, and he built us a little duck board that we take away with us when it's winter camping, and we put on top of it a little mat so that we can keep the mud out. The duck board's ace. It just sits on top of the mud, keeps our van nice and clean, and we tend to have quite a few different rugs and mats that we'll put in the winter just to try and keep it tidy. Doesn't always work.
Now, regular viewers will know that we absolutely love wild camping, and that doesn't have to stop in the winter, but it is a little bit more challenging. So we'll be really honest, when the weather gets rough, we do head to campsites for the luxuries that they offer.
Yeah, so we're going to take you to one of our favourite campsites actually over the next week. We're going up to the Lake District and we're going to stay in some of the National Trust campsites, particularly the one at Dales.
The reason why the campsites are good, and you have to check out the campsites in terms of their facilities to see if they are winterised, but the campsites in the Lake District with the National Trust all have the most luxuriously heated, underfloor heated bathrooms, which are actually better than our bathroom at home.
Yeah, they were all redone about 2 or 3 years ago. And most of the campsites have a drying room, which is really handy if you're getting out and about hiking and you've got wet kit, because wet kit in a van when you can't pop the roof up and you've got no space is no fun.
The other thing that we always try and do as well is find a campsite that's close to a pub. Not the fact that we want to go for a pint, but it's just nice to have a bit of a change of scenery. And some of the larger campsites in Europe actually have club rooms. So the site we go to in Bourg-Saint-Maurice has the most beautiful club room that you can go and spend the evening in.
Yeah, we've just got to remember to take with us lots of logs and wood because they don't provide that, but they've got a wood burning stove in there, which was so lovely last year.
Likewise, it's always useful to be able to use laundry facilities at a campsite, and to be honest, it's one of the biggest draws of us going to campsites when we need to wash through and dry everything because, as Jackie said, in the van, there ain't no drying space in here, and sometimes you just need a really good wash.
And actually, sometimes you just need a tumble dryer so that if you've had a shower, you can dry your towels, because trying to dry towels in a winter van is not easy either. Winter camping is very different, and it does come with a few challenges. We're not saying it's the most ideal thing to do, but if it's a chance of us getting away, we will take it.
So in such a small van, space is obviously an issue. When it's dark and you are stuck in the van from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock the following morning, it is quite challenging, but there's no getting away from that, and we just try and make the van as snug and as welcoming as possible, and actually it's quite a nice place to go and hibernate in.
Condensation is definitely more of an issue in winter when you're cooking and when you take the blinds off in the morning, and if you're trying to dry towels.
And basically storage space, so we can't put the roof up because obviously it's a canvas side to that and it would just allow the cold to seep in, so we keep the roof down, so that really cuts off a massive amount of storage space. So you do need to be really organised. We do think less is more and we do travel quite lightly, but it is still a challenge in terms of finding a place for everything to go.
Not having the roof up also has the advantage that the van is tiny over the winter, so it heats really quickly. In the morning, we tend to not have to use the heater because we just put a cup of tea on and the act of boiling the kettle warms the van up enough.
But despite all of those challenges, we absolutely love winter camping, and I go back to our original point, it's just very different to summer. It's not something that should put you off, it's definitely you've put a huge investment into your van, so why not try and get out and really enjoy those winter conditions?
There's some occasions where actually I prefer winter camping. I really like getting out and about, particularly over Christmas. We've stayed on campsites that are all done up for Christmas and gone into the towns that have got Victorian markets. It just gives you that freedom to be in some beautiful places in beautiful weather conditions.
So hopefully some of the advice and the tips that we've put in this video will be of use to you. All we hope is that it just encourages you to get out and use your van.
Yeah.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye.